Hi, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my perfume journal. So this video was inspired by a comment that I received. It said, I would love to see a video on how you curate your collection. Do you have categories, or how do you keep yourself from getting the same DNA over and over? I love this idea, so thank you so much for this suggestion. So I would say that I definitely gravitate towards certain scent profiles over others, like powdery florals are my greatest weakness. But over time, I have amassed a pretty eclectic collection that includes all different sorts of perfumes, which is one of the things that I actually love the most about my perfume collection. So I sat down and I really thought about this question, and I came up with some ideas about how I have created a diverse perfume collection. So the first thing I would say is that my perfume collection has always been a reflection of who I am as a person. My interests, my stories, my memories, all of the different phases of my life are represented in scent. And as I have changed, the types of perfumes in my collection have also changed. And I guess the most important thing I would say I did in creating my collection is that I took my time. There were many, many years when I did not have the money to collect perfume. I maybe owned one or two perfumes, but I was always still sniffing my way around to see what I liked, what I didn't like. And as I got older, I was able to add more perfumes to my collection, and it's been growing ever since. So I'll go through some of the perfumes in my collection that I think will show you some of the ways that I have curated my collection over time and help me end up with what I think is a pretty interesting and, to me, an awesome collection of fragrances. So the first perfume is this vintage bottle of Ysatis from Givenchy. I chose this perfume for this video because one thing I have done over the years is hold on to some of my most beloved scents that I haven't used up completely. I went through several bottles of Ysatis in the 80s, maybe 3 or 4 bottles, and this is the one that I last purchased. I probably picked this up sometime in the early 90s, and I've had it ever since. It still smells amazing because I do keep my perfumes properly in a dark cabinet. My vintages I actually keep in a drawer in the cabinet. Ysatis is a massively loud, yellow, floral, mossy, woody sheep from Dominique Ropion. The notes in Ysatis are aldehydes, galbanum, orange blossom, neroli, bergamot, Brazilian rosewood, citrus notes, mandarin orange, and coconut, jasmine, narcissus, tuberose, ylang-ylang, Egyptian rose, Florentine iris, and honey. And in the base, civet, musk, oak moss, amber, castoreum, clove, patchouli, precious woods, sandalwood, vanilla, vetiver, and bay rum. Need to take a breath after reading that note list. Definitely one of the most 80s perfumes I own. It gives big shoulder pad energy. I love it for both the scent and the memories attached to it. And like a lot of perfumes from the decade, this is a big aldehydic yellow floral sheep. It feels to me like molten gold, like a gold bar that has been melted down and mixed with honey and flowers and creamy woods. The dry down of this perfume is pure magic. It is both sharp and smooth at the same time, which sounds kind of contradictory, but it works so beautifully. This is one of Dominique Ropion's greatest creations. If I'm not mistaken, this perfume makes an appearance in Michael Edwards' book, Perfume Legends, and that is a rightful place because this perfume is indeed legendary. So keeping vintages in my collection that I have had for years and years is one of the ways that I have created a diverse collection over time. And on the subject of vintages, this is a vintage mini of Silences from Giacomo. This perfume came out in 1978 as a Parfum de Toilette. So I love vintage minis. Finding full bottles of vintage perfumes is very risky. I can't afford to be doing all that. But vintage minis have been a great way for me to experience the original formulation of a long-lost scent all over again, or discover a vintage perfume that I've never smelled before, especially if it's a perfume I wouldn't necessarily wear very often. It's pretty easy to spend a lot of money trying to find an intact full bottle of a vintage perfume. So vintage minis are usually $10 or $20, sometimes even less, and they're also super cute. So Silences is an extremely green perfume. It's not piney like you would imagine a vintage Polo to be, but it's more of like a dry, leafy sheep with an absolute shed load of galbanum. So the notes in Silences are green notes, galbanum, bergamot, lemon, orange blossom, hyacinth, iris, jasmine, lily of the valley, rose, musk, moss, cedarwood, and sandalwood. Now, there's also a 2004 EDT version of this perfume with notes that are pretty different, but I think it looks extra awesome actually with the addition of narcissus and marigold, two of my favorite florals in vintagey perfumes. The current version of Silences includes the narcissus, but it lost the marigold. So I really would like to pick up a bottle of the most current formulation to see how it compares to this original version. I love, love, love green perfumes of the 1970s and 80s. Perfumes like Lauren from Ralph Lauren, the original version of Liz Claiborne. And Silences is a great example of how gorgeous a super green floral sheep can be. And little vintage minis are another way that I have diversified my perfume collection. So here we have 4 body mists from Bath & Body Works. This is a small collection of mists that I have. And I think many of us who are perfume enthusiasts can pinpoint the phase in our lives when we were just becoming independent. Maybe we didn't have the extra cash to buy whole bottles of perfume, but we still wanted to smell great. And that is where Bath & Body Works entered our lives. Scents like Plumeria, Country Apple, sun-ripened raspberry, and of course, cucumber melon. Those were the scents of my college, my early career days, when it was all I could afford, along with good old vanilla oil from the Body Shop. I had a much larger collection of mists at one point, but I think I was just like collecting them just to collect them. So I moved a bunch of them along, and I've only kept the ones that I really love. So there is one that's missing from this group, and that's Into the Night. I love that mist, so I'll probably try to pick that up at the next sale. So You're the One is a strawberry rose. 1 in a Million is a tuberose. It smells actually a lot like the original Michael Kors perfume that I love so much. Rose is a very nice, simple rose scent. It's great for layering or wearing on its own. And I love Blackberry and Basil. It's a nice fresh mist for spring and summer. So I love the goofy note lists that you find on the backs of these mist bottles. Ron from My Perfume Journey had me laughing at a video that he recently shared. He said one of his mists had seaside jasmine in it. Like, does jasmine actually grow by the seaside? I don't know. So I've always said that I would love the job of writing copy for Bath & Body Works note lists, except I think I would be fired within a week because I'd be the one at the team meeting when everyone is like sharing their ideas for notes. And I'd come up with stupid stuff like velveteen glass shards or wilted rotting petals because that's what those note lists always sound like to me. They sound kind of silly. So Ron had suggested coming up with Bath & Body Works inspired note lists for some of my favorite perfumes. So I might just have to make a video like that for kicks and giggles. Okay, so jokes aside though, Bath & Body Works makes some really fantastic scents by very fine perfumers. So I am really glad that I have been a Bath & Body Works person for decades. So many great smells at a very affordable price point. So this is a bone dry bottle with no cap of the EDT of Chance Eau Tendre from Chanel. So I came by this perfume through one of my most favorite things to do when I can, and that is to go perfume sniffing in person. So in the before times, this was really the only way we used to be able to explore perfumes and add them to our collections. We had to go to the mall or to a department store to try them in person. Except they did have those like fold out samples in magazines where you'd pull back the sealed fold of paper and it would expose the fragrance, which was kind of like dried onto the page. And then you'd wipe the paper all over your arm or wherever, and you'd probably give yourself a very nice paper cut trying to sample a perfume. So anyway, this is a bottle I bought years and years ago at a mall, maybe around 2013. And I've shared before that there was a long period of time where I really could not afford to buy bottles of perfume. I would go to the mall, I would smell them, but I would leave empty-handed. But with this perfume, I had just gotten a promotion at work, and I was like, I'm going to buy myself a nice bottle of perfume to celebrate. And I think the last nice perfume I had purchased for myself was Burberry Brit, probably more than 5 years before I added this perfume to my collection. So I was super excited to go shopping and choose a new perfume. And I'm pretty positive that I annoyed the salesperson tremendously at the perfume counter because I smelled every single thing for over an hour before finally deciding on this perfume. So it was between this and the original Chance, and I was poring over this decision. Well, I know that this poor lady was like, girl, can you please make your decision so I can get my commission already? And you better not leave here empty-handed after making me take every single perfume out from under this glass. So obviously I did purchase it. Chanel Chanso Tendre is such a pretty scent. It is as pink as the liquid itself. The notes are quince and grapefruit, hyacinth and jasmine, musk, iris, amber, and cedarwood. And I still love this perfume. It is watery and airy at the same time. It is springy and fresh, and it always makes me feel happy and bright. And as a side note, I went shopping recently and I stopped at the Chanel counter to see if they had the new Chance Eau Splendide. And the Chanel associate at my local mall was amazing. I should actually write an email to Chanel singing her praises. She pulled out the bottle and she told me they were not allowed to sell it yet, but that I could definitely smell it. Then she got out this little box and she took out that little tiny Chanel perfume bottle you see there. The back of it is made out of chalk. And she sprayed it with Eau Splendide like 10 times. And she told me it was like a little car air freshener, and she gave it to me. So then I stood at the counter for a while. I pulled out my phone. We looked at perfumes on Parfumo together, and she gave me these 2 samples before I left. There was no pressure to buy. She was totally down to earth, no snobbery, just really good, true sales tactics focused on building a relationship with a potential customer. So well done, Chanel. And Eau Splendide, if you're curious, is really lovely. Of all the Chance flankers, this one is most like Eau Tendre in that it's lightly sweetened and fresh at the same time. This one is raspberry, rose, and violet. And it's not lipsticky, not in the least. It's very bouncy. It's very bright. I really enjoyed trying this out. And I'm going to be eager to wear my samples to see how it feels when you wear it. And so, yeah, perfume shopping in person is one way and probably one of my favorite ways that I have grown a diverse perfume collection over the last many decades. So here we have La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto from Guerlain. When I first discovered the fragrance community, I will totally admit, I will come clean that I was influenced. I bought a couple of hyped perfumes and I hated them, so I quickly learned not to believe everything you see or hear on social media. It also did not take me long to find my people in the fragrance community, the people whose tastes and enthusiasm for perfume aligned most closely with my own, people I felt were trustworthy sources for both honest opinions and good descriptions of fragrances. So I'd heard the wonderful Claire Smith talking about La Petite Robe Noire Black Perfecto on her channel, and I had already grown to admire, respect, and most importantly, trust her opinions on perfumes. And so I picked this one up, and she was 1000% correct. This perfume was a perfect match for my taste, and I think it is beautiful. So the notes are rosewater, almond, rose de mai absolute, rose de grace, patchouli, tonka, and leather. And this is absolutely the little black dress cut from a gorgeous piece of supple black leather. I adore the combination of rose and almond, and the leather and the patchouli take this perfume straight to sultry land. It's beautiful, but it's not so sexy that it can't also be an everyday scent. It's both. And I've also heard that this perfume includes cherry and licorice notes, which I can totally see now. At first, I didn't get cherry or licorice in this, but the longer I've had it, the more I've worn it, the more it reveals the many facets of the deep deliciousness that this perfume has to offer. I love this perfume, and it is a great example of some of the gems I've added to my collection thanks to recommendations from great people in the fragrance community. So here we have a perfume, a shave soap, and a bar of soap from two of my favorite independent perfume houses. The perfume is Gavitella from Wit West, and the bath products are Rumble and Almond Leather from House of Mammoth. So over the last few years, my enthusiasm for and my interest in perfume got to the point where I wanted to understand a lot more about how perfume is made. So I started reading books about perfumery. I started following a lot of independent artisan perfumers who always share a lot about their craft online. And I even took a few perfumery classes from independent perfumers. I have had some wonderful exchanges and talks with perfumers who are incredibly generous with their time and with sharing their craft on social media. So Whitney from Wit West and Ben from House of Mammoth are two of those wonderful, wonderful people. So I have sampled just about everything from Wit West and House of Mammoth from their discovery sets. So Wit's perfumes are botanicals. She does a lot of her own extractions and enfleurages, and her style of botanical perfumery is very distinct, very unique. And House of Mammoth is not just a perfume line, but Ben also offers and is very well known for his wet shaving and bath products. So we'll start with Gavitella. Gavitella is an homage to the beautiful scents of the Amalfi Coast. It has notes of bergamot, red mandarin orange, cypress leaf, neroli, orange blossom, vetiver, and sandalwood. It is very natural, very fresh, very beautiful. I love wearing this perfume in the summer outdoors. It's very green, it's lightly woody, and it has that beautiful natural neroli orange blossom in the heart. I also think that this perfume has gotten even more beautiful and deepened over time. I think the naturals have just continued to bloom. At least to me, that's what it smells like. I don't even know if that's scientifically accurate, but to me, this just smells more and more beautiful every time I wear it. And Rumble is absolutely phenomenal. The notes are chocolate, labdanum, rum, vetiver, woods, and coffee. It is deeply spicy, woody, creamy, a little bit resinous, maybe even a little bit leathery. This is one of my favorites in Ben's entire line. I think this is a scent that many, many people would enjoy. So I chose bath products because I love having the options to expand my love of scent beyond perfumes, and also because I have found that a lot of independent perfumers who also offer additional products put just as much effort into the quality of those products as they do into their perfumes. And that is definitely true of Ben's work at House of Mammoth. So Ben's Perfume Voices won an Art and Olfaction Award in 2023, and rightly so. That perfume is so unique. It's mango and sticky rice and pandan, and it is magnificent. So yeah, sampling independent perfumes is one of the ways that I have grown and expanded my eclectic collection, and I have discovered some really fascinating scents that are kind of like off the beaten path and just really wonderful artistic creations. And on the subject of sampling, another way I've added to the diversity of my collection is through the advent of perfume samples that can be ordered online. So as an example, I ordered a sample of Le Grand Jeu from Voyages Imaginaires because I was very curious about the brand. It was started by Annick Goutal's daughter Camille and the brilliant Goutal perfumer Isabelle Doyen, and they featured the use of all natural materials. And I'm fascinated by natural perfumery. It's super difficult to do, and so I really wanted to smell at least one perfume from this brand. Le Grand Jeu seemed like the one that I would like the best. It had a very simple note list of coconut milk, gardenia, tuberose, and vanilla. And when I smelled this for the first time, I almost fell over in my chair. It is just incredible. I wore the sample every single day until it ran out. It was in one of those little samples that you can unscrew the cap from. So I was literally unscrewing the cap and like wiping the little atomizer stem on my skin to get every last millidrop out of the sample. Since I could literally not stop thinking about this perfume, like I would wake up in the morning thinking about this perfume, I knew it would end up on the wish list. Fortunately for me, I ended up winning this 10 ml travel size in a giveaway, which was super awesome. So I was finally able to add this to my collection. And if I had not won this giveaway, I was planning to save up all of my declutter money until I could make this perfume my next purchase. I think this perfume is a magnificent example of how special the art of perfumery is. This is like going to a Michelin-starred restaurant where the chef is using the most exquisite, fresh, local ingredients to prepare an unforgettable meal. The florals in this perfume are utterly intoxicating, as if bunches and bunches of gardenia and tuberose were just soaked in creamy, fresh coconut milk and dotted ever so lightly with a scraped vanilla bean. Sometimes I just pick this vial up to sniff it. It is literally one of the best perfumes I have come across in years. When a certain sample crosses my nose, there is just no denying that wow feeling that you get from discovering something really, really special like this. So if I had to sum up my entire collection into one word, it would be this: curiosity. I think I'm a naturally curious person, especially when it comes to things that I'm really interested in, like perfume. So I will get a wild hair going on like a particular note or a perfumer, a style of perfumery, a brand, and I will go down rabbit holes researching perfumes. I have everything from obscure cheapies like this bottle of Eclat Parfum from Oriflame that I discovered when I was on a tear looking for perfumes that smelled like shampoos from the 70s and 80s. Things like Prel and Gee, Your Hair Smells Terrific. I have designer perfumes that I fell deeply in love with at the mall, like this thick honeyed floral that is Bijan. I have small vials of perfume oils like Holy Terror from Arcana Wildcraft, which I discovered when I wanted to find the most perfect perfume that represented the smell of incense burning in an old stone church. So there we go, a bunch of examples of perfumes that show how I think I have built a pretty varied and diverse perfume wardrobe over many, many years. And I can honestly say that every time I look into my perfume cabinet, I still get like a little thrill of excitement. Like, I can't believe these bottles are all mine. I get little butterflies in my stomach thinking about how much fun it is that I get to open this magical wardrobe every week and pick out the bottles that I'm going to wear. So thank you again for this great question, this great suggestion. I really loved thinking about this topic and answering it. I had a lot of fun making this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, thank you so much for watching my videos, for spending time with me here, and for talking perfumes with me in the comments. I appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.